What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the social club where you know everybody's got a voice. I'm your host Serge, and today, as you can see, we're doing things a little bit different. We're not on the set in St. Louis, we're not on the set in Kansas City, we're on the home screen of College Football 26. This leads me into today's topic. I'm going to be going over the biggest gameplay changes I've seen from College Football 25 to that of the most current generation you can grab off the shelf today. But you know the deal, go ahead and smash that subscribe button down below, make sure you follow on every social media platform, and most absolutely turn on those notifications for next month's football cookout. 31 days and 31 videos, it's content you're not going to want to miss. Now, first up is one of the more anticipated updates, on-field substitutions, long awaited and so very much needed. Up on the D-pad and you can see everything you could need to on the field, between stamina, wear and tear, overalls of different players. With the click of a few buttons, you could have a whole new offense on the field by the next play if you really wanted to. Just scroll through with left to right on your D-pad, and then by the next play, you'll sub that player in, and you wouldn't have even done anything but call the next play altogether. It's super seamless, and this is huge for those that want to have some stacked talent on their roster. You know, I know last year I ran a dual threat QB system where I had, Eli Manning as my field general and then Pat White as my scrambler. And trying to get them to swap between plays and make sure they were in certain formations was just such a hassle. This will make that so much easier. You can see here number 23, who I think is the number 4 running back actually, but he subbed right in next play, didn't have to change a thing. It makes everything run so smoothly when you can do it on the field. Next is one I wasn't really expecting. I don't know if they did this in a reveal prior to or not, but the new RPO hot routes are a gift from God himself. This is huge. Now the key is you can only do this on passing RPOs. You see how the screen's lit up with passing RPOs? This won't work with bubbles, this won't work with anything like that. You need receivers on a route. Now here, I'm gonna go ahead and put Y on a zig route. You'll see it only lets me select a couple there to choose from. Those are the ones that are eligible. Here we've got him on a zig, we've got X on a speed in, and we're gonna force that zig there even though that reads pretty bad, but hey, you saw it worked and you saw that it could work that way, so we're gonna roll with it. Now here, I'm gonna take X off that slant route. I'm gonna put him on a deep post instead. I feel like that post would be a lot better for this coverage. I'm gonna catch him in that gap right between the corner and the safety. And look at that open up. I mean, major gains downfield just because you can catch him with a little RPO action. Speaking of hot routes, we can't leave out the new hot route additions, guys, and these are actually specific to every receiver on the field. Let's check out X on the far left. We can put him on a slug go if we hit left on the D-pad. We can put him on a return route if we hit down on the D-pad. We can even put him on the smoke screen still if we hit right trigger down, which I know that's from last year, but it's still a nice feature. But let's take it to B. We can go to B even, because B's our slot receiver. He's got much more variety now. We've got a speed out if we hit left stick to the left. We've got a slot fade now if we hit left trigger. Oh man, that's going to be huge. And we can even take it all the way to the line of scrimmage. Let's check out Y. Y's got a nice little stick nod route here if we hit LT. That's amazing. He's got a wide wheel. They say just wheel, but if we hit right on the D-pad, we'll get a wide wheel down the sideline. And then we can even get the return right out of him if we hit down on the D-pad as well. Just a lot of variety, and it keeps the game interesting. This is an example of how not to do it, but let's show you one of how we should do it here. So let's take it back from the top. We've got base play. I'm going to go ahead and try X out on that slug go route. I feel like I can beat that corner downfield. So let's get that set up there, not the return, but the slug go, and we're going to see what happens here. Cuts him inside. Ooh, B comes open on the outside. Kaboom in the back of the end zone on his head top, man. This is gonna piss some people off online. I can't wait. Now we've also got new pre-snap motions in the game, and from an offensive standpoint, this is a great way to keep the defense across from you guessing. As you're trying to put together schemes and stay versatile in your attack, this can keep them looking the other way when you might be thinking about going the opposite. Let's try this bounce motion out. We're going to have the defense come out into cover 3, halfbacks lining up on the left side of Nussmeier here. He's going to bounce to the right, and then he's going to punch right through the gap on the snap. Okay, that was a bad gap. It was a bad run. Let's try it again. This time I think I'm going to take it right. And okay, that's a decent gain for an inside zone. It's not explosive, but it's something that can keep. Let's see how this can catch them off guard though. Let's flip the play. Now we've created the weaker side of the field. So now we're going to bounce to the left of Nussmeier, punch up the right side, and we're actually going to go right off the edge. We see that hole? That spin move should have worked, but we'll take what we can get. That's a first down if you're on 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7. Now, there's also off-ball carrier motions too. In fact, let me find this Z motion play. Give me a second here. There he is. Now, Z motion. We're going to have that Z receiver. He's just going to squeeze in on the end of the line of scrimmage, and we're just going to punch up the middle like a draw play. You know, nothing too crazy, but you see that all these different skill playing positions have these abilities to move around. Now let's take it to the defensive side of the ball. Something that's really interesting are the new safety adjustments. Yes, we can finally move our safeties around as we please, and it's in quite a few ways. First, let's try out this depth option. Let's go deep. That puts us 25 yards off the line of scrimmage. So we're going to come out into base cover 2. We're just going to run, base wide zone just to get an idea of this. Look at that depth. 25 yards deep. The gap between the line of scrimmage and where my safety starts is massive. Thank God my linebacker can make that tackle. Now you can see here again, we're still in deep, and he's going to get all the way downfield. Look at that. Look at that. That's a first down. That's unacceptable. So let's try out another coverage here. Let's go back to depth, and we're actually going to put this on prevent. 32 yards off the line of scrimmage. This is not going to answer for the fault in the last play. I'm just showing you the different examples. My safeties are literally in the end zone. I can't think of a situation where this would need to apply, but you know, you have the option if you need it. I mean, look at this gain he gets. It doesn't help that I take a terrible angle, but I got dogs on the ball that's going to get that fumble in the end zone. We're going to take it from the 20. That's what I like to see. Now, all things considered, I mean, just off the 2 you've seen so far, I don't know how much of this we're going to use. I think it will make defense a lot more fun to explore, but I can't think of a lot of scenarios that these would actually be utilized for in that realm. Now, with that said, I do want to demonstrate one of my favorites here, tight coverage. I love tight coverage. Just put our safeties 5 yards off the ball. Look at this. Look at this. My safeties are basically backup linebackers, and watch me come up on the ball, no gain. This is going to be huge on blitz plays if you're trying to bluff the blitz, etc. So keep that in your back pocket. But let's take a look at safety width on the spread option. Now, we're just going to keep it in cover 2, run that same wide zone. As you can imagine, spread's going to spread them out. We've got the middle of the field wide open. I don't personally love this option, but it's another one to explore with. Not one that I think would be utilized often, but it's in your back pocket if you need it to be. Now, with this, we've also got wide alignment. If you could imagine it gets any wider, wait till you see this. We're going to come out in that same wide zone. My safeties are literally between the hash and the sidelines on both sides of the field. Extra wide, extra wide. Now there's also a tight formation out of this as well too, which puts your safeties right inside of the hash. I'd imagine that'd be utilized a bit more if either. Now let's talk about depth at close. Close is going to bring them right onto the hash marks. They're going to be right outside of it. They're not going to be inside of it, so it'll look a bit more of a standard formation. This looks like a low set cover 2. As you can see, safety comes up on the ball, nice and easy there, close position. And with that, I do want to take this back to the menu to further explore that safety width. Here's that pinch adjustment I was mentioning before, and you're going to see they line up right inside of the hash. It looks real tight, real narrow. I think this is going to look really good for bluffing the blitz if we've got close depth adjustments on. Maybe if we are blitzing everybody sending the house, but that's what can't happen. You know, if we're going to run that close, and we got to make sure the middle's covered up there for, you know, future reference. But let's take it to the last safety adjustment possible, midpoint. Now midpoint, this is one I'm personally probably not going to tamper too much with. Here we've got midpoint to the left. You can see we've got our, safety that's lined up down the center, one that's on the left side of the hash mark. And I feel like, going directional with this can put you back if you're going towards, if you call the wrong direction, it could hurt you. Here we got midpoint to the right, but you see we're strong on the left side of the offensive line. So we've got extra personnel over there that are uncovered. We're actually going to see how this guy leaks out from underneath, gets that yard. That's a first down right there. That's what we can't have happen. What I do think works effectively in this adjustment is the strong and the weak adjustments you can make to midpoint, because you can have it to where your safeties line up towards the strength of the field, but pre-snap. So here we've got the personnel there that we need. Everybody's covered up. Look at that. Linebackers on top of it. Incomplete pass. We live for another down. Now, same thing if we take this back to the menu and we want to try out the weak option. I personally, again, don't understand why you would want to line up to the weak side of the field. Maybe I just don't know ball. But here, again, we've got safeties towards the right side of the field, right hash and in the center, and we're strong on the left side of the offense. So this can unfold wonderfully. And once again, we've got that guy as he's leaking underneath that receiver, wide open in the flats. So if you're going to be making these adjustments, make sure they're, proactive. Here we're making an adjustment towards the field. Now this is going to be towards the mass of the field. We're going to see the safety's favor. So let's get this lined up here. Let's find a play. Let's run this here. I like this here. So we're towards the field. And when we're lined up in the center of the field, obviously you're not going to see that change. So it's one of those things where you have to kind of be a bit imaginative. But imagine that we're on the left side hash. Safeties are going to cover that middle hash and that right hash if we're going towards the field, where the majority of the field's at. Versus the opposite with the boundary. In this case, you can't see it again, but towards the boundary, they'd line up towards the smaller side of the field. Maybe we think there's going to be a fly route that's going to get dumped off a trips that's bunched to the small side. These are things that I think will help us think a lot more constructively on defense and get a lot more creative of what we can do. Speaking of how creative we can get, we can't leave out the new defensive line stunt system in the game. I don't even know if we knew we needed this or not. Left on the D-pad, RB or R1 for PlayStation, and from your buttons on the controller, select your audible. Here we're going to have him pull the left pirate 3-man. Let's see how it goes. Okay, he actually got cooked. I can't lie. That was ugly. But you saw the vision. Let's also have an honorable mention for the new custom zone coverages. This is probably one of my favorite pieces of the new defensive schemes altogether, because all I can think of last year is how corner routes were just defeating cover 2 terribly. In fact, we're gonna mimic that right here, right now. Let's go ahead and base this defense and offense out really quick. Bear with me. But let's get this how we need it. Let's take them off a pinch, take them out of close. Let's get everything defaulted back to how it needs to be. And let's just have it come out in a base cover 2. We're going to have that corner route. Let's run smash right here. Hot on the corner route here. Okay. So we're going to actually pull this safety out the play because I just want to show how the corner route can get abused. You see me over there on the left hash, and I'm going to pull him all the way to the middle. Let's see that safety. Look at that. Look at that. Touchdown. Easy money. Now, that can happen in-game to anybody, anytime, anywhere. But now, I can take that cornerback. Let's hit on X. Let's pick on him a bit. We're going to take his cloud coverage. We're going to pull that all the way back there to where that corner is going to break. Now, let's pull that safety out of that mix and see how the corner plays it. Now, as we can see, it's definitely effective as he dropped back just in time. But if we're going to be doing that, make sure you got somebody down low to cover those flats because, man, that can get ugly. But that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks for tapping into another episode of the Social Club. Go ahead and hop in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about college football 26 so far. What are some things you love? What are some things you hate? Do you think it's better or do you think it's worse? And while you're there, make sure you turn on those notifications. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss out on the cookout next month. We got too much great content coming your way. But until next time, it's been well.